Despite Ferrari finishing well up the order at the Las Vegas Grand Prix, there's plenty of controversy surrounding Scuderia in the wake of Charles Leclerc missing out on a place on the podium in Sin City to his teammate Carlos Sainz. At the beginning of the race, Sainz was in P2 with Leclerc in P4. The Monegasque driver started the race strongly, overtaking Pierre Gasly and also his Spanish teammate to put himself into second behind only George Russell, who started the day in pole position. Yet, what could have been a straightforward race for Ferrari soon unraveled into chaos. The Las Vegas Grand Prix became another glaring example of Scuderia's ongoing struggles with strategic decision-making. The tension within the team was palpable, echoing across the radio as Sainz and Leclerc were repeatedly instructed to swap positions. The constant back and forth not only disrupted the drivers' rhythm, but also left them visibly frustrated. For fans and the team alike, it was another bitter chapter in Ferrari's troubling saga of tactical missteps, moments that continue to overshadow their engineering brilliance and the talent of their drivers. Sainz ultimately crossed the finish line in third place, with Leclerc trailing in fourth. However, their race wasn't a straightforward affair. Leclerc seized second place at the start and even had a brief shot at challenging George Russell for the lead, but his hopes began to unravel as his tyres succumbed to heavy graining, leaving him vulnerable. Ferrari's pit wall then stepped in, instructing Leclerc to let Sainz through, which he did. That wasn't the end of the musical chairs, though. The pair swapped positions 3 times during the race, with the first 2 exchanges dictated by Ferrari's strategists. The final swap, however, was a different story. Sainz, defying direct orders to stay behind Leclerc, overtook his teammate regardless. The audacity of the move left Leclerc visibly annoyed, prompting him to wryly suggest to his engineer that perhaps such instructions would have been better understood if they were delivered in Spanish. Ferrari's strategy decisions seemed to leave both drivers feeling more like pawns than competitors. For Leclerc, his brief stint in second place was overshadowed by the mismanagement of tyre degradation and team directives. Meanwhile, Sainz's boldness in ignoring orders highlighted the chaos within the Ferrari camp, a scenario that undoubtedly left fans and analysts buzzing. The night on the Las Vegas Strip may have ended with more points for Ferrari, but harmony within the team seemed like a distant dream. By lap 26, the Ferrari drama hit full swing. Carlos Sainz found himself in third, fending off teammate Charles Leclerc, while also feeling the heat from a charging Lewis Hamilton behind them. Ferrari's pit wall ordered Sainz to let Leclerc through, but Sainz, understandably wary of the looming threat posed by Hamilton, hesitated. Turn 14 was supposed to be the handover point, but Sainz held his ground, promising to comply at turn 5. When that moment came and went without action, Ferrari's patience wore thin. Finally, on the following lap at turn 14, Sainz begrudgingly let Leclerc by. Adding to the chaos, Ferrari decided to bring Sainz into the pits at this exact moment. In true Ferrari fashion, the call was abruptly cancelled just as Sainz approached the pit lane, forcing him to stay out for another lap. When he finally came in, the delay had already set the stage for more missteps. Leclerc's turn came 3 laps later on lap 32, and his outlap ignited yet another twist. Despite Ferrari's assurance that Sainz wouldn't overtake, the reality on track painted a different picture. Leclerc exited the pits dangerously close to his teammate, but Sainz had the upper hand. Using the DRS advantage in the run to turn 5, Sainz breezed past Leclerc, nullifying Ferrari's earlier instructions. This chaotic sequence captured the essence of Ferrari's season, a storm of miscommunication, strategy fumbles, and drivers forced to navigate the chaos on their own terms. While both drivers fought for position under the watchful eye of Hamilton, the bigger battle seemed to be within their own team, a game of trust and authority that Ferrari appeared to be losing lap by lap. As the dust settled and the race concluded, Carlos Sainz couldn't hide his frustration. The chaotic strategy, aborted pit stop, and constant position swapping had cost him precious time, leaving him to wonder what could have been. Speaking to Sky after the race, Sainz pulled no punches. "We were ahead of Lewis before that pit stop, and I had been asking to pit for a couple of laps," he explained. "I think we lost quite a lot of race time because of it. The swapping of positions with Charles Leclerc didn't sit well with him either. I had to let Charles by, and I lost a lot of time there. I'm not going to lie, I'm not happy about that," he admitted candidly. For Sainz, it wasn't just the lost seconds, it was the missed opportunity to focus on the bigger picture. Still, Sainz remained pragmatic about Ferrari's overall chances, acknowledging that Mercedes had the upper hand. They were simply the quicker car today, he conceded. Whether it was George or Lewis, they probably would have beaten us one way or another. For us, P3 and P4 were the maximum we could achieve. Despite his dissatisfaction, situation, Sainz made it clear that he prefers to handle such grievances behind closed doors rather than airing them publicly. "I don't like using the radio to complain or making media comments to criticize or prove a point," he said. "These things are better dealt with internally because public comments rarely lead to good outcomes." Sainz's words reflected a driver walking the tightrope between professionalism and frustration. While he accepted that Mercedes was out of reach, his pointed critique of Ferrari's race execution hinted at deeper concerns, a feeling that the team could and should have done better. Carlos Sainz wasn't mincing words when he admitted his own frustration with Ferrari's messy handling of the race. "I'm the first one who's not happy," he stated bluntly, acknowledging the chaos. "I was trying to solve it myself by pitting and getting out of the way. The whole situation was a bit of a mess and I'm not happy, but it is what it is." His resignation to the team's mishaps was clear, but the sting of lost opportunities lingered. Meanwhile, Charles Leclerc's emotions boiled over as soon as the race ended, his radio crackling with expletives that laid bare his dissatisfaction. Being nice seemed to be his Achilles heel during the race, and it left him regretting his decisions. When pressed after the race, however, Leclerc was visibly more measured, if not entirely subdued. "It's frustrating, yes," he admitted, though he tried to downplay the impact. "Second place is always nice, but in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't change much for the team." Leclerc reflected on his approach during the first stint, where he yielded to Sainz while struggling with worn-out tyres. "I think I did my part when my tyres were completely gone. I didn't fight Carlos at that point, but the rest we'll discuss internally. I don't want to go into details." Yet, even as he tried to close the book on the matter, his frustration seeped through. "It's not about favouring one driver over the other," he clarified, alluding to the crux of the issue. "It's about respecting what we're told, and that didn't happen, but that's all good." His tone suggested otherwise. Even as he insisted he'd already said too much, Leclerc's disappointment was evident. "It's frustrating when things happen like this, and I know it's hard for people to understand, but it's been frustrating for me. This Vegas incident is not the first time that there has been tension between the two Ferrari drivers this season. At the Spanish Grand Prix back in June, Leclerc was unhappy with Sainz, to which the Spaniard responded, "It's too many times that he complains after the race about something." There was also an incident at Silverstone where Leclerc said, "Nice Carlos, nice, good overtake in the last corner." That was during qualifying when Leclerc felt Sainz had damaged his lap time. Overall, it was a successful weekend in Vegas for Ferrari. With Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri finishing in 6th and 7th for McLaren, Leclerc and Sainz have managed to close the gap in the Constructors' Championship. Ferrari are now just 24 points behind McLaren, who lead with just 2 races left in the season. Who do you think was at fault for Ferrari's chaos in Vegas? The drivers, the pit wall, or both? Let us know in the comments. Until next time, goodbye for now.